Welcome back everybody. Today's video is if you look back at my recent videos, you saw that I did one on the 800 watt Vfd Controlled Air Cooled Spindle, and I also did one on the touch probe. How I didn't like the, so to speak, the way it was connecting, you having to coil it up and put it somewhere, and a lot of people unplugged it from the white plug and then ended up pulling the cables out. Well, if you go back to the video and watch that video, you'll see that I made a unit that plugs in on a jack plug, and it's absolutely brilliant. It's changed the way that it makes it neater and more efficient. I've set the spindle up, connected that up, and as you saw in the previous video, if you haven't, go back and watch it. On the control box, I did one on the actual just getting it initially working to test it, which you have to do, and then I've done one recently on the control box that I created for it, and you'll see how it all ties together. And I've also wanted to show you something that I use. It's only my what I do when I'm starting a job off, and it's good for if you're wanting to get the start position bang on again, if you've had some stop or what have you through the program. But what I'll do is I'll take you down to the machine, and I'll take you down, it's only there, I'll take you over to the machine and I'll show you exactly the setup now that I use. Okay, right, here we are at the machine. As you can see, it's just about right is the 800 watt spindle. It's in its new 65mm mount. All right, and as I say, it's quite a weighty unit, and if you compare it to the weight of my 1.5 kilowatt, it's a lot heavier is the 1.5 kilowatt. So as you can see with that, the deflection that I was on about is like, if you put the heavier thing on here, then that's what happens. That's exaggerating. You can see that that's moving, okay, and that's what happens. It'll tilt that, and you have to correct it all the time. So I think this is about the right size and weight that you want to use on this CNC. Now, it's only my choice that if you want to use a 1.5 or a 2.2, that's entirely up to yourselves. Okay, you can see the cables loop round the back, and it comes out of here. You can see the control box that is set up. You can see that. It's pretty simple. It does need a wider board, that's all, because it was for the other control box, the 500 watt motor. You can see the plug-in unit, which is tapped into here, and that's now for my probe, which is here. Okay, so all I do when I want to use this now is plug that in, that's it, and then use a touch off probe, take it out. All right, a lot more simpler, and you're not doing what a lot of people do, is pull that plug out, and then they end up pulling these cables out. I had a unit here where I used to coil it up and put it here, but occasionally the cable come down, if my back turned, it would uncoil, and you've got to be careful on it getting nipped. All right, right, now as you can see here, this is a project that's ongoing, and I'll show you this project in a moment. But something else I wanted to show you using is, I use them, just let me get down on my bad knee. You can see this unit that I use. Okay, now I'll just take this up so it's out of the way, put it on a Z, and then set up a bit more. See, that's coming out of that hole. Okay, and what this is, I have a set of them, of which I'll just show you now. Now there you go. I have a set of them, and if you can see that they're all just a simple print that I do. I've been using them a while now, and they go from 2mm, 3mm, 3.175, 4mm, 5mm, 6mm, 8mm and 10mm. Right, so what I do is, when I'm setting a job up, if I'm using the corner for the job position, okay, I use one of these. I pick for whichever cutter I'm using. Your material's clamped down. This isn't at the moment, so I'm just showing you. And what I do is, if you look underneath, that's stepped, and it's got a hole through, okay, and that goes exactly to the corner. I sit that on, and then I jog the machine over, and then jog it down till it goes in the hole, and I know it's exactly on that corner. Because the problem you've got is, if you're working from a corner of a material, that cutter, if it's a ball nose cutter, you're fine, because you can get it, or an engraving bit with a fine point or a V bit, you've got a point to work with. But on a wide cutter or a 3-spur cutter, you don't have that, or a 1-spur. So it's very difficult sometimes to find, oh yeah, that looks about right, starting job position, okay. But if for some reason what you're engraving out of, you lose that position, or the machine stops and you want to go back to job position, it's only, I've shown you a different way where you can actually utilize the settings when you're home originally, 0, then move to your job start position, jog those numbers down, and you can always go back to those numbers. But if you haven't, then all I do is put this back on, lower the cutter into position, and a note, and then 0, 0 everything off again for the job start position, and then run through the job again. So you can actually pick that up. It's just a simple 3D printed unit that I use, and I've used them quite a bit now. In fact, I'm due for printing some more of these off, because they do wear when you're turning the cutters around in them to make sure it's catching or it's in the right place. So I'm due to print some more of. With anything with a point V bit, you can more or less pick that up spot on again. But like if you've got a 10mm cutter or a 12mm cutter in there, I have a 12mm one, the same, then you've got to find the centre of the 12mm cut when you're lowering down on the point. It's very difficult, and what you've got to remember is, you can do it roughly and set the job position, and your machine will work fine. However, and I'm no doubt some people with CNCs, when I'll find out, the job will stop, oh god, and you've wasted your material. Well, you haven't. You can pick it back up again, not to where your machine stopped, but you can actually pick it back up from start again and just go through the whole job again. Well, that enables you to find exactly, especially when you're using a wide cutter, exactly where that job start position is again. I hope people understand what I mean about that. It's just a simple 3D printed item that I use, and it's more security than anything else. I do it every time, and I know that at some stage, if that job stops, I can get that back exactly if I'm using a 10mm cutter, because it's just a case of dropping it back into the hole, and I know it's exactly where it started off. Okay, right. But as you can see, they only slide in, and that's just the unit that I use. I have some magnetic ones, but and as I say, that's just 3D printed. That just showed you the simple unit that I use to get my job start position, and repeatedly do it for whatever. Now, you also know my system that I work, which is offline controller and the MPG controller. It's a brilliant system. I don't have hiccups with it, and when you get these, once you get your feet with using the CNC, is you develop, oh, I want to make that better, like I did with the plug-in for the touch probe and the filter for the control box. It all makes it more practical and also safely, as it's making it more safer. Now I'll go back to the, put that in there, go back to this job that I'm doing. Okay, now I have recorded my steps in this, but whether I'm going to put the video out, I don't know. But this is a project that I've got on for someday. If you remember in the 3D printed videos that I did some on a commando dagger or knife, that the British one that somebody, good friend of mine wanted, and I printed him some off. Okay, now he'd asked me, he says, can you do them in wood? I said, well, yeah, it's pretty simple. And I actually did some, the reverse, like here where you see this being cut out. This is half the model. Okay, now what you don't see is I did another machining process before this, so these parts was up here. Okay, and what it was to make the pod a silicon, it was to make a mold. Okay, and then from that they actually made two molds, put them together, filled it with resin inside, and that became an item that was painted up, and it was done for display for presenting to somebody. Okay, I just did the mold for it, but this is different. This is machined down, so this is done half of the commando dagger, as you can see there. Okay, that's finished. Now I'll just move the machine out of the way so you can see it. You can bit about this, you can use it one-handed. I do. Okay. Right. Back to the model. Right, as you can see, half of this model's done. Alright, which you could insert that into a plaque, quite easily done, and there ain't a problem. You could just clamp your material down and machine it. Alright, however, if you want to do a complete one of these and just leave some tags on so you can break them off and then clean the whole item up, then you have to work on what they're called jig and pin. Alright, now I have for machining this, I have a finish pass, I have a roughing pass, and I have two more passes which puts the pinholes in to the base as well as into here. Okay, now the pinholes, you'll see them either side. You must get this, your material, centered. I'm working from the center here, not from the edge. Job position central. So when I initially start my first pass off, that is in the middle. It's clamped. I put a fence on here just to stabilize it while you're first initially doing it. I screw down, that holds it in place. Run the first pass, okay, which then puts this right through the material with a longer cutter. Okay, so that passes that exactly, those two holes, pinholes, passes exactly does the machine when it's done it, and just marks the baseboard. Okay, and then once I've done that, I take this off, then have another machining which then makes the holes in the baseboard deeper. Okay, once you've done that, then I have these, you put these in manually, they're just screws, piloted and screwed. And then what I do is clamp the machine down on the first set of pins, work from the centre, and I always make note of the obviously the coordinates for the job start position, okay, from home to job start position. Make a note of those, I do anyway. Then 0 off, 0 onto the top of the material. This material was slightly thicker than I wanted, so there's a lot more machining. As you can see, it's got to go down to that first before it starts machining any shape out. Once I've done that, I put the roughing cut in, and it goes rough cuts, do the finish cut, and this is what you're left with. Alright, once I've machined that, then I take this off, turn it over, and you can see the pins. Okay, you see them there and there. Okay, and then slot that back on to the pinholes. It's still bang in the centre, exactly, you can see that. And then screw down, machine the other half. Okay, and when I machine the other half, it leaves a little faint little bit on, so it holds it in place. You would then end up with, if you can imagine, 2 halves, okay, machined, but it formulates one complete unit. Okay, and that's just how you do it with jig and pin. As I say, the one thing that you have to be positive on is you are in the centre, because if you're not in the centre when you start off, when you flick it over, it'll move it out of centre. Okay, you machine your first one fine, but you won't be bang on with the second one as you turn it over. But as you can see there, it's even done a nice carving. A bit of clean up that. If you were doing that on a board to present somebody with, then it would be absolutely spot on. That's just a job that, I mean, as I say, I did video it all, and machining it and doing the mould, but whether I put that video on, I don't know, because it had a hell of a lot of editing to do, and I lost some of the footage. Why, I don't know, wasn't recording, so whether I do it again, I'll see what I can do. Alright, so that's it. That's just one setup for one job that I was doing, and as you can see, it's pretty good. Bit of cleaning up, bit of staining on a nice plaque. And you could also do I did one and it had a snake over it. It machined, you couldn't see it, but the snake was wrapped round, and it came out quite good. I've since passed that on, and you'll have to bear with me, I don't always show things that I've machined because they're personal to somebody else, so I won't do that. That's the spindle connected. Alright, and that's the unit. As I say, I haven't actually used this spindle. I use the Rotozip one for creating the knife that you've just seen. I'll switch this on. You see it come on. Okay. You can hear the fan start up. And then we'll just start the motor off. Now I don't know if you can hear you, that's on the lowest. Okay, so very, very quiet. That's on that's about half speed, thereabouts. It's about 12,000 thereabouts, and then it goes up to 24,000. Okay, that's on its maximum, but I very rarely run anything at fast speeds. Probably a V-nose or an engraving bit, but that's normally I run mine on. just over half speed, and it's quiet, it's efficient, no vibration, there's none whatsoever in this unit. It's absolutely spot on. Okay, turn that off. And that's it. I did say that I would show you. I'm using the 800 watt spindle. I don't think I need to go to anything like water cooled on here. I don't think it warrants it. Air cooled's fine. It's pretty well made is the motor. I have water cooled on my main Pro machine. That 1.5 water cooled spindle. It is what it is. It wasn't expensive. It was about £190 for the VFD and the motor and what came with it, and as I showed you in the videos. Please do watch the videos, okay? But that's it for the just showing you a little project that I'm on with. I've now, once I've done that, I'm going to do a plaque one. I've one to do, but as you can see, it looks pretty good. Yeah, that's it for the video. It is only a short video. It's just that I've done 2 videos on the Air Cooled VFD, and I just think it shows you now the finished item in the machine and how it works. What I use to find the job position on the corner, if I'm working from the corner, centre. I take the coordinates all the time, so I can go back to those coordinates, just home again, and run out to those coordinates and 0, and you'll get that job position every time. Watch my previous videos on that. Right, that's showing you the machine, how I use it. As I say, there's 3 videos to the VFD spindle. The receiving it, which please watch, because it shows you how you have to test it, and then the control box, how I wired it up and what I've done to protect that VFD, because I don't feel like I could use it just strapped to a board and controlling it from there. It's open to the elements in the workshop, and I think it's bad practice just to have it sat there. You need, and wires coming out of it, it needs the support of a box, okay, and filtered. Right, I've shown you it working. It's quiet, and it is really good at what it does. No vibration like with the 500 watt spindle. The rotor zip motor that I used was good, but it's quite noisy, but it was good. I've shown you the project that I have on the machine at the moment, and the jig and pin that I use, the system I use, and the little plastic 3D printed units I have that give me my job corner position, especially when you're using anything above a couple of mil, really 3 mil upwards to 12 mil cutter, to find that center part, that start position. Just drop them in, and I find that every time. And especially if the machine messes up and it stops, you can get that job position back. Just go that to that corner, set it back down into the hole, and you know it's bang on to where it was originally. The simple things that you can do. I always take the coordinates, and I did a video on that, show you the coordinate, where every time I home the machine, then send it out to job position, get it exactly where I want it, then I write down, make a note of the job start position, the coordinates. All right, if that machine messes up, you might be an hour into it, you might be longer. Yes, you will have to go through the machining process again, but it isn't wasting. It'll pick up where it left off eventually, but you can get those coordinates back, and it works every time. The job coordinates are exactly where you started before. That's more accurate. Okay, not a lot of people do it. I do it every time. And with the little corner positions, yeah, they assist you. That's it. They make your job easier. And with the jig and pin, as I've just shown you, that's good, but you must make your centre position bang on. All right. And how I do with the centre position is, it's very difficult to do it if you're using a 5mm roughing bit, ball nose roughing bit. It's very difficult. So what I do is, I normally put an engraving bit in, which is sharp centre point. Find the position, get that, zero the X and Y off, okay, because that's all you need to do. Zero the X and Y off, take it back up, and then change your cutter for the cutter you're using, zero off. Okay, you've taken your coordinates, you know where you are. And that's it for this video. Don't forget, subscribe to the video. It does help my channel. It doesn't cost you anything, and I know people do watch them and what have you, and they don't subscribe. It does help this channel. It is slow growing because it's specific at what it is, and this is what you see is what you get. I'm no expert at any of this videoing. I just try to share and help people. Also, don't forget in the comments, if you're using something similar, let me know. You know, I'm here to try and help you. The other thing that I want to pass on as well is, if you watch one of my videos on a Hyacinth, I think they pronounce it as, fridge freezer that I got, American fridge freezer, and it's an absolute brilliant piece of domestic kitchenware for whatever one. It's very good at what it does. However, it comes on the water dispenser without a drip tray. It's a little sunken piece at the bottom, and it's, to be fair, it's useless. It really is useless. You make a mistake, it drips down, and before you know it, it's run down the door and into the top of the freezer door, so you're drying it off, or down the front, or it just happens to have a drip. Where's it go? When you walked away, down the front of the freezer and onto the floor. It's, on their part, it's a bit of an oversight. Everyone that I've had at American fridge freezers have had drip trays, ones that you can empty. So a 3D printed one, magnetic, sticks on, and it's brilliant. It does the job. I've had a lot of requests if I would sell one, and you know, they've got the same fridge freezer and there's no drip tray, and right in what I say, it drips down and it goes down the front of the freezer unit. Unfortunately, I've had to reply to everybody. I do not sell them. I've uploaded my files for that and the details with the magnets and that you need, and they're there on MakerWorld for you to download and get somebody to print them yourself, or if you've got a 3D printer, print it yourself. There's no charge for it. I don't charge for any of my files that I do. They're there for people to use. Now, I've had some feedback, good feedback. People's used the STL files for the printer and done the drip tray, and they said it's brilliant. It catches it all now. Yeah, and it should have come with one. And you can, mine blends in. It's in a colour that I had, and it's near enough. So please, if you've got that fridge freezer and you want the drip tray, just look on MakerWorld, and it's there. It's free to download, and you, by all means, use it. The details of the magnets, which are on Amazon, they're not expensive, but it does solve a problem. All right. Well, right, that's it for me. Give me a thumbs up for the video, and I'll be making another video shortly, and it's to do with the CNC machine. I'll be machining a project, and it's for me, so I will be showing you that. When I'll be doing it, I don't know. I'm recovering nicely from my prostate removal, or my prostatectomy, so fingers crossed that still goes all right. I'm nearly 100% now, so that's good news for me and my family especially. That's it. So until next time, you be safe, you be careful, and bye for now. Bye.